All right, how to determine her type. So what's great about this system is that, there's 8 types, but you really only need to figure out 3 things about her to know her type. All right, and in order, the first thing you gotta know is her timeline. All right, tester or investor. You need to know that in the first 30 seconds to a minute. The second thing you need to find out is if she's a denier or a justifier. You're going to need to know that before you start touching, or before you change locations, or before you plan a date with her. And then the third thing is to find out if she's a realist or idealist. And that's going to determine how you position yourself. But really, it's not going to come into play until she starts thinking about being in a relationship with you. And that's not to say that you can't figure out all 3 lines much faster. In fact, a lot of the guys that I teach this to can read a woman's complete character type in about 30 seconds to a minute. But those are like the deadlines for when you're first starting out. Those are real deadlines where it's going to start affecting what you're doing. You want to have an idea of her timeline, which is tester investor, before a couple minutes. You want to know her sex line, or denier or justifier, before you move locations. And you want to know her relationship line, realist or idealist, before she starts thinking relationships with you. So you got a couple tools. First of all, on this website here, there's the profiler quiz thing that you can use. It's pretty damn accurate. We designed it to be accurate, so it works most of the time. If you meet a new woman, just fill in the questions for her, and it will tell you with pretty good accuracy what type she is. You also have the previous sections here. You have the timeline, the sex line, relationship line sections before this one, and so if you're not sure exactly, or if you couldn't answer the questions in the profiler, then just go ahead and listen back to those sections and see if you can match up the behaviors that I describe. And then if you still can't do it, then I have some more clues here that you can use to try to nail her type. All right, so with the tester, she's going to have a lot more guys around her than women usually, but this is tricky. Remember, this is the one that women fake the most. But testers, have a shorter attention span. They prefer changing the topic rapidly in conversation. She's more into multitasking, like when you see women texting people while she's having a conversation with someone else, and she pretends she's paying attention, but she's like texting too. And it doesn't matter if she's texting guys or girls, because testers are like that with girls too. They treat their girlfriends the same way almost. The tester is usually more okay, I guess more indifferent to compliments, more unaffected by them than anything else, while an investor actually takes a compliment more seriously. So there's a bigger risk, but there's also more of a reward. All right, so then denier and justifiers. One good clue is her religious upbringing, which isn't always accurate, but it's a great clue if you don't have anything else. Denier will usually still be pretty consistent with her religious upbringing, while a justifier won't be religious at all, or even rebel against her initial upbringing. Here's another good clue: health and safety. Deniers are usually much more careful with their safety and more health conscious as well. They're less likely to be smokers, less likely to do drugs. And another one, here's a great one. If a girl has a tattoo, especially if she has more than one tattoo, that's a great sign that she's a justifier. Justifiers are much more likely to take risks with their safety. Like on a first date, she'll go somewhere with a guy that she doesn't know very well. They'll easily get in a car with him on the first date. A lot of deniers will refuse to go on a date with a guy if she has to get in his car on the first date. Also, justifiers, sometimes the extreme ones will even go on vacation with a guy on their first date. Also, justifiers are more comfortable with being touched aggressively by guys, while deniers aren't. They'll freak out. Also, how comfortable they are with sex talk. Justifiers will talk about sex very openly when they first meet someone, while deniers will usually get shy and embarrassed from that type of talk. So finally, we have realists and idealists. Realists are much more career-focused. Their schooling or job is her top priority, And by the way, don't get confused with flaking. They both flake equally as much. Realists and idealists both flake, but realists flake because of work, and idealists flake to hang out with another guy. So there's not really a difference in the amount of flaking, but more the reasons of flaking. Realists believe that women are equals with men and can be just as powerful and successful, while idealists think that men and women should have different roles. Realists are also the type to take care of other people in their life, like their family and friends, while idealists usually end up with other people pampering her and taking care of her. Think like a little princess. All right, so finding out her type is great because one of the side benefits to this is that it lends itself to almost like a natural curiosity, which makes conversation a lot easier. It helps getting you listening for the right things, listening to a woman in the right ways, instead of coming off too indifferent or bored. Can even be like a fun game, when you're interested, when you're excited to get more information from them. You're trying to like solve a puzzle, and once you uncover the clues, you begin to understand more of their personality. You understand more if you're a right match for them. You understand more of what they want, what they're looking for a guy, their motivations in life, and of course what they find attractive. And you can emphasize those parts of your personality once you know that what they're going to respond to. So for example, if you're a girl who's an investor, it's very scary to an investor if a guy is flirting really hard and making her seem special right away. A tester's fine with that because she does it herself all day long, so she knows the game and she knows how to play. It's not a big deal. But with an investor, you'll lose a lot of trust if you start showing too much interest too soon, if you start making her too special too soon. She knows it's a long-term process. It takes time. You need to make her invest first, and that's what they do best, so it's well-suited. Now, as you get more practice in identifying the types, you're going to start to be able to do it a lot faster. At first, you'll be looking for clues, thinking a little bit in your head. Don't get too much in your head, Just try to stay in the moment, and this is almost something that you want to refer to after the date, or after you meet the girl, and then plan your next strategy from there. So at first, while you're looking for clues and really kind of thinking, later on, once you get a little bit more experience, and it doesn't take that long, once you use the system with between 10 to 20 women, you should start to get really, really fast with it. So once you get more experience, you'll be able to do it much faster, and you'll start using it all the time and realize how accurate it really is. Once you become a guy that knows women like this, who can tell the different types and do it quickly, you're basically an expert on women. Think about, scientists who study birds. The very first thing that a scientist does is, they classify them, put them into different types, and that allows them to understand their behavior, make all kinds of predictions on how that bird is going to act in different situations. For example, they might know that one type of bird will fly south in the winter, while another bird might not. So what they can do is they can look at the bird, classify him, look at him and say, okay, that bird right there, he's an XYZ bird. And excuse me, I don't really know shit about birds. But he is not going to work on his nest right now because in 3 days he's going to be flying south. And, same thing with women. You become a real expert in predicting their behavior. You might be at a bar talking to a woman and find out she's a denier, and you're going to know with a high degree of certainty that she's not no matter what you do, no matter how much she likes you, she's likely not to go home with you in your car that night. So that way you can just get her number and not risk the rejection of trying to push it there right then with you and try to get her to leave. It all comes down to common sense, right? Many successful companies give their employees personality tests before hiring them. And the reason why is because it gives them so much predictive information before the company can decide to start investing and hire them or not. And it's the same thing with women. Once you know what type you get along with the best, you can shortcut your entire dating process and really streamline it. So you can talk to them for a couple minutes and know exactly how everything's going to turn out if you get involved with her. It can literally save you years of possible heartache and frustration being with the wrong woman. All right, so it's time to test your knowledge again. And you might want to go ahead and review this section, 3 sections before moving on, because I'm about to test your mind reading skills, all right? So good luck.